Allison says, book recommendation, The Sum of Us, What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together by Heather McGee. It is excellent at outlining how and why we ended up in this political mess. I want to share with you, I think that's a good place to jump off into this next story. A couple of months ago, after Trump had been elected, but I guess it was probably towards the end of December, 1st of January, CNN sent some reporters down to Miami. Now, Miami, Florida, I understand, has the greatest concentration of immigrants, greatest concentration of undocumented immigrants. A huge number, like hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants live in that area. And so they sent some reporters down. They sent some people down to interview people in Miami and asking them how they felt about it. Because the idea was that if Trump gets in and if ICE does what ICE was planning on doing and what they kept talking about they were going to do and what Trump kept talking about they're going to do, Miami seemed like a pretty safe bet that ICE was at some point going to descend on that city and do their thing. And so they wanted to ask people how you felt about that. How do you feel about that? Because given the fact that there are so many undocumented immigrants, that chances are a lot of people down there know someone who's going to get caught up in this. And I remember watching it and wasn't really hearing anything. It was all sort of, placating answers. And then they spoke to this one young woman, and she said, I don't really care. Now, she was a Latina, and she said, I don't really care unless it affects mine. That grabbed me, right? Because what she was saying was, I don't care about any of these people unless ICE comes to my family, unless ICE comes for my friends. I really don't care. It's not a concern for me. Now, there was during the election, Venezuelans Americans from Venezuela, of Venezuelan descent. I'm going to say this properly. Venezuelan Americans. They were, of course, they have the right to vote, and they were promised that they didn't need to worry about their family being rounded up. They didn't need to worry about their families being rounded, because you're not the immigrants that Trump is talking about. You're not the immigrants that ICE is going to come for. You guys got all your documentation. You folks got your refugee status. They've many of them, like, and the number I understand nationwide, not just in Florida, but nationwide, the number of it's somewhere around 500,000. There are some 500,000 immigrants from Venezuela who have been given a protected refugee status. As a matter of fact, Biden just renewed their protected status so that they could be they are in the country perfectly legal. They are in the country perfectly legal. I can't stress that enough. They got their papers. And so these Venezuelan Americans who are being courted to vote for Trump in Florida, they were told, your people are fine. There's no issue. They're fine. And now they're mad, right? Those same people feel incredibly betrayed by Donald Trump and by the administration, by the policies that MAGA Republicans are putting in place, by the full court press that ICE is on, because Trump has rescinded the refugee status, the protected status of those Venezuelan immigrants who were here as refugees, who were here fleeing the authoritarian Maduro or Chavez before him. These people, they came to the United States from Venezuela because they felt they were in danger. They came for safety. They came for prosperity. They came legally. And now this administration is saying, not so much. We're going to be sending you home. Somewhere in the area of 500,000 Venezuelans will be sent home to Venezuela. Why am I telling you all this? Well, this is not one of those, the leopards eat in their faces. I don't find that helpful. As you know, it is like watching a car accident. You can't help but look at it like, oh my gosh, we told you not to do that, but there you did it, and this is the consequence of it. There is something oddly gravitational about these moments where I told you, and now there's something gravitational about watching the consequences all unfold for others. But that's not why I'm telling you this story. I am not telling you this because, oh, don't you see, they're getting what they deserve. No, I'm telling you this because this is a great reason why we should care about people outside of ourselves. It's a great reason why we should care about people who are not our own, why we should care about people that are not within our family, that people that are not within our city block, people that are not within our friendship circle. Like that young woman who said, well, I don't really care what ICE does. I don't care who ICE grabs, so long as they don't grab my friends and family. This is what happens. I mean, Julius Caesar wrote during the Gallic Wars. He wrote about his plan, which was divide and conquer. So he didn't want to fight all the Gauls all at once. Okay, he knew he would never win that fight. He had 2 or 3 legions. He was never going to win if he had to fight all of the Gauls at once, and so he fought tribes. He divided the tribes, and he kept the tribes divided. And by doing so, he was able to conquer them. Divide and conquer. Right? It was the same thing for the Greek city-states. When the Persians attacked Greece, and I can't remember which emperors it was, I apologize, but when the Persians attacked Greece and they fought at Thermopylae, it's because all of Greece came together. It wasn't just 300 Spartans. It was all of Greece came together. When they fought at Marathon, it's because all of Greece came together. When they fought on the seas off Athens, it's because all of the Greeks came together. When they were defeated by city-state. When Rome finally conquered them, when Alexander and Alexander's father before him, he began the conquest. But when they finally conquered Greece, it's because they conquered it city by city by city. They gave them no opportunity to come together. They kept them divided. This is what happened here. Venezuelans, you don't have to worry. It's not you we're talking about. We're talking about those illegal guys. We're talking about those people from El Salvador. We're talking about those people from Colombia. We're talking about those people from Mexico. We're talking about those people from Guatemala. We're talking about those people from Cuba. We're talking about those Canadians, whatever it may be, but not Venezuelans. You don't need to worry. Oh, Cubans, you don't need to worry. No. You guys, you're fine. We love you people. You're great here. Don't worry about it. We're talking about those Venezuelans. Oh, Mexicans? No. You know what? Actually, they're probably never going to tell Mexicans that they didn't have to worry because there's an issue. But what I'm trying to say is this. For these people, Trump and his people, they kept these groups leery of one another. They kept these groups suspicious of one another. It's not you, it's them. We're not coming for you, we're coming for them. Oh, then you got my full support because I want you to take them. I don't want you to come for me, so I hope that you will be satisfied by taking them. I am willing to sacrifice them if it means you leave me alone. Now, of course, I'm sure by now somebody's already written in the comment section here, some verse from Niemler's famous poem. First they came for the socialists. And I didn't say nothing because I wasn't a socialist. And then they came for, and then they came for, and then they came for. And I didn't say anything when they came for those groups because I wasn't a member of those groups. And then when they came for the Jews, I didn't say anything because I'm not a Jew. And then they came for me. And there was nobody left to speak for me. That's how this goes down. It is why we must care for people outside of our groups. It's why we must care for people that we will never meet. It's why we must care for people that we will never see. It's why we must care for people we will never speak with, we will never break bread with. It's why we must care for the stranger, for the widow, for the orphan. It's why we must care for the prisoner. It's why we must care for people on the other side of the planet. If all we do is care for ourselves. You know, J.D. Vance the other day was talking about you got to care for your family, and then you care for your neighborhood, and then you care for such and such, and then you care for the other. If you do that, someday the state, the authoritarian, the unrighteous, the unjust, they will come for the people on the edge of your love. And you won't do anything because you got to take care of family first. And then they'll come for the next group a little bit closer to your core. And you won't do nothing because I better save it for my family. And someday they will come for your family. They will come for the people you love. They will come for the ones you care about. They will come for the ones you desire to protect. They will come for the ones you've invested in. But because you didn't protect at the very beginning, we're divided, we're broken, we're conquered, we're defeated. This is why we love. This is why we protect everyone. This is why we see every human being as worthy. It's why we say, I see God in every human being. It's why we strive to see God in every human being. And I know somebody's probably cutting, well, what about creation? Yes. Ultimately, all of creation, we must see everything in creation as godly. We must offer our love to every aspect of creation, yes, including mosquitoes. We must be willing to strive. We must be willing to sacrifice and struggle for every aspect of creation. Because we're all in this together. But the minute we become self-serving, that's the minute that those who would see us oppressed, they gain a little foothold. They move a little bit closer to their ultimate objective. Our love is to extend to everyone. Our work is to extend to everyone. Our protection is to extend to everyone. Our suffering, our struggle, our sacrifice is to extend out there to everyone. If one of us falls, if one of us is conquered, if one of us is oppressed, eventually all of us will be. Amen.